Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Feel free to write your story requests in all capital letters in the chat. And if you could please hit that share arrow in the bottom right hand corner. There is a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says a repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow our beautiful porch. Also, sharing to your stories and sharing with your friends helps too. Thank you for the taps as well. And I will write down your story requests, and then I will set up the first poll. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the porch. Hi, Brian. How you doing? Thanks for the cozy cryptids. Robin, thanks for the cozy cryptids. Robin, thanks for the beautiful bouquet. Tanya, thanks for the cozy cryptids. Thank you for the metamorphosis. That's so cute, Heidi. Thank you, Brian. Hi, Lost Sister. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, Brian, your secret's safe with me. I won't tell a soul. Why? Are you hiding out? Hi, CJ. Thank you, Amy. Oh, that's okay, Fairy Witch. We're glad you're here now. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Viola. And don't worry, Robin. He's just taking a nap. He'll be here in like an hour. Thank you, oh so very ordinary. Hi, Jersey Strong. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Pixie. Thanks, Jules. Thanks, Robin, for the popular. Thanks, Lost Sister, for the love you so much. Happy Tuesday, everybody. If you haven't gotten your story requests in yet, go ahead and write them in all capital letters in the chat. And I'm going to set up the first poll for us to vote. I know, wasn't it so cute? And I'll be right back with the first poll. And thank you to everybody who's reposting the live and sharing with your friends and sharing your stories. I appreciate it. Happy Tuesday. Hi, Santahua. How are you? Hi, Lily. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Pippa. Thank you, Giggles. How you doing? Hi, Dennis. Oh my gosh, Robin, thank you. That is so pretty. I love the colors in that. Like all my favorite colors. Thanks, Michelle. And thanks, Dennis. Hi, Delphi. Mama Harvey, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the porch. Hi, Solange. Hi, Lady Rose. Hi, Justin. right, you guys, the first poll is ready. We have... Oh wait, it's under review. That's weird. One sec. Okay, guys, the poll is ready. Also, yes, Fairy Witch. Brian, be nice. She's 16. So she's discovering the gorillas, which I think is cute as shit. Yes, I love the gorillas, and you have good taste in music. Okay. Also, the poll's ready. We have the Reeves Vampires, Crawl Space, Apartment 214, Grandpa's Cabin, and The Cave. Oh no, I know. I just was waiting for you to be like, who doesn't know the gorilla? You were being nice. I was just warning you ahead of time. Please be nice, because she's a young porch pal. Oh, you're 14. Okay. I knew you were a youngin'. And I feel cool that you come and hang out with us all the time. And yeah, I knew those were the lyrics. I was just, because most of the people in here are our age. Or around it, you know. But not everybody. We've got a couple of their teens in here. You dance to them in private, me too. Yes, I love the gorillas. They're so good. Who's it gonna be, guys? We've got the Reeves Vampires, the Crawl Space, the Apartment 214, Grandpa's Cabin, and The Cave. Yeah, we have another girl in here, Fiona, who is, I think, about your age as well, Fairy Witch. And then we have, yeah, I think there's like 3 or 4 that come in here. Ghost Rider, you didn't even use strong language. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Because I thought it was cute that you were answering her. Right, Veal, I don't know why they give a limit. Oh, he didn't say anything, Fairy Witch. He's just a silly jokester goofball, goofy guy. And I just wanted to give him some before he started saying maybe, you know, you're only 14, you know, just want to make sure. Also, oh, the poll's over. Don't worry, Dennis, we got your vote. And the winner is Yeah, he's just really funny. He's the class clown of the group, and I love him for it. Him and CJ, I would say. All right, we have The Reeves Vampires is the winner. I know, Eric. And guys, guess what? Well, yeah, Brian, and that's exactly why I was like, just to, yep, and that's, I was looking out for you, Brian. That's exactly it. You didn't even say anything. I was just like, I wanted to make sure. What are you sorry about, Amanda? And guess what, you guys? This one is has a new background. Yes, Brian, I was trying to be your friend. Yeah, I adore you. Love you. Just trying to, keep everyone on, in the know. All right, guys. Oop, drop my clicky pen. Hold on. Hear it? Ready? I really do use a clicky pen. Oh, that's okay, Amanda. It happens all the time. I didn't even notice it. Good night, Brian. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it when you stop in. I was so excited when you came late the other night. I was like, oh my God. Holy shit. Holy moly. Sweet dreams, Brian. We love you. All right, guys. So The Reeves Vampires has a new background. It was one of the backgrounds that I needed to change because it was blurry. So they really are satisfying, aren't they? Clicky pens are. They're great. And so I will be right back with the tale of the Reeves Vampires. And if you guys could do me a quick favor and just hit that share arrow in the bottom right hand corner. And there is a yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs. And helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Also sharing to your stories, sharing with your friends, all the good things, the tappy taps. Hi, Boone. You're back. Guys, welcome Boone back. Our carnival bestie Boone is back. Of course, Amanda. Of course. Of course I look out. Plus, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Artemis or Diana. She was also who they based Discovery of Witches Diana off of. And she was the protector of wildlife and witches. So, Be right back with the Reeves Vampires. Also, don't forget tomorrow, if you guys are able to make it, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have Witchy Wednesday, and I go live in the daytime on camera. We hang out. I'm not sure what the air quality is going to be tomorrow, but it has been severely bad where I live right now, so it might be an indoor one again. We'll see. But come join us, hang out, chat. Talk about anything you feel like. All right, guys, I'll be right. Hi, Tommy. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Eric. I'll be right back with. Oh, that's okay. Don't be sorry. They happen every Wednesday. And enjoy Toy Story 5. I bet that's going to be fun. Okay, Tommy. I know everybody got mad at me for doing the live outside when it was 100. I'm not allowed to do that anymore. Because my face was like bright red and everybody's like, you need to go inside. Lovely was like, why is your hair down? Yeah, I bet it's going to be so good. All right, you guys, I'll be right back with Reeves Vampires. Khaleesi, I cannot wait. Oh my God. Hi, Yaya. Oh my God, your power went out and you're sacrificing for the porch. Thank you guys. I was hoping you would like it. Because the other one was one of my first stories, and I hadn't started like branding everything in my favorite stuff, like purple and green. And now most of the backgrounds, as you guys have noticed, have progressed and gotten better. And I try to incorporate purple and greens into all of them, because that's like all the colors of my logo, my merch, and those are my favorite two colors. So I figured when I'm redoing these, I might as well keep them on brand and make them along the same aesthetic, because the original stories, before I started reading them live, I just screenshotted the video, because they are videos, they are moving videos, and it wasn't always high resolution because I was making them on AI video creators and stuff. And then I've kind of fine-tuned my production and how I do it now, and so I think that's why I was getting flagged for low quality and unoriginal content. It was always, I noticed a pattern when I was getting those. It was because of the old background, the ones that were like screenshots. They weren't high resolution, and TikTok could tell. And they didn't like me using blurry screenshots of videos, I guess. So I have slowly tried to update most of the older ones. There's still a couple stories that I have not updated yet, because I am on a free plan and they only let me regenerate a few images a day. So I will eventually get the rest of the old ones. Oh, thanks, April. I appreciate you noticing the detail, because I am very attention to detail, and I feel like sometimes I'm like, no one's even gonna notice. But I'm glad you guys do. And I hope you like the new Reeves vampire background. I'm going to take a quick swig and I will be right back. Happy Tuesday. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Suzanne. I agree, Pippa. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the Reeves vampires. There's a story in Dayton, Ohio, that's been passed down for generations. A tale whispered in darkened rooms and shared over late-night campfires. It's the kind of story that feels too strange to be true, but too eerie to ignore. And it begins with the Reeves family. They were one of Dayton's most prominent lineages. And it ends with a mysterious stranger named Dorian Blackwood. The Reeves family, long-standing residents of Dayton, were known for their deep roots in the community. Their lineage traced back generations, with ancestors who had settled the area. The family was huge, with numerous branches and connections throughout the region. They were respected members of society, involved in various local businesses and social circles. The Reeves family had been part of Dayton's history since the beginning. They were one of those families that seemed blessed with everything: wealth, influence, and an enviable sense of mystique. Their sprawling Victorian mansion perched on a hill just outside the city was as much a landmark as it was a fortress of privacy. However, as with many old families, there were whispers. Some claimed the Reeves had made a pact with dark forces, trading their souls for eternal youth. Others believed the family carried a rare genetic anomaly that gave them their striking features and longevity. Some spoke of an unusual resilience, a certain vitality that defied the passage of time. Elders of the Reeves family often lived well into their 90s and 100s, maintaining sharp minds and robust health. While such longevity could be attributed to good genetics or a healthy lifestyle, the superstitious townfolk began to speculate about a darker origin. And a more sinister theory began to emerge, one that connected them to an ancient cursed bloodline tied to vampirism. These murmurs were further fueled by the family's aversion to public gatherings during the day. Woohoo, Kim! We can officially get them in the arms of the angels. While they were active in the community, attending events and supporting local causes, it was noted that they preferred evening engagements. Their large ancestral home had heavy drapes that were often drawn during the daylight, casting the interior in perpetual twilight. Such peculiar behavior, though easily explained by personal preference, became the breeding ground for more sinister interpretations. Despite the rumors, the Reeves kept to themselves, attending only the most exclusive gatherings and rarely mingling with the general public. Their avoidance of daytime events didn't go unnoticed, nor did their penchant for hosting elaborate evening soirees that lasted well into the night. Those lucky enough to attend their parties often described the mansion as otherworldly, with its labyrinth of halls lit by dim chandeliers and windows perpetually cloaked by heavy velvet drapes. The Reeves parties were legendary, but they were also unsettling, filled with strange rituals, cryptic conversations, and a sense of something unspoken lingering in the air. Things took a darker turn in the late 19th century, around the time Dorian Blackwood appeared in Dayton. Nobody knew where he came from. One day he was simply there. He rented an old decaying mansion on the outskirts of town. Now Dorian was the kind of man that you couldn't ignore. He had a presence that commanded attention. Tall, pale, and impeccably dressed in the finest European fashion. His dark eyes seemed to see straight through you, and his voice, though rarely heard, left an impression that was hard to shake. Dorian quickly became the subject of town gossip. He was rarely seen during the day, venturing out only after sunset to walk the cobblestone streets or visit the library, where he pored over ancient texts and historical records. Some said he was a scholar or perhaps an eccentric collector of forgotten knowledge. Others speculated he was a fugitive, hiding from something or someone. But it wasn't long before Dorian crossed paths with the Reeves family. The Reeves seemed to welcome him with open arms. And soon, he was a fixture in their inner circle. But his presence didn't sit well with everyone. The few townsfolk who had had dealings with Dorian described feeling an unexplainable unease, like he carried a darkness with him. Around this time, strange events began to plague Dayton. Livestock were found dead, drained of blood, with no clear explanation. Residents reported waking up with inexplicable puncture marks on their necks, feeling weak and disoriented. The local doctor, baffled by these cases, could offer no medical explanation. And whispers of vampires spread like wildfire through Dayton. And the Reeves family's connection to Dorian only fueled the paranoia. One particularly chilling account came from a young maid who worked in the Reeves mansion. She claimed to have seen Dorian in the dead of the night, standing by a window, gazing out at the moonlit gardens. She swore his reflection was absent from the glass. She left her position at the house the next day, refusing to set foot in the mansion ever again. The situation reached a breaking point when a prominent local woman, known for her charity work, was found dead in her home. Her body was pale and lifeless, with faint marks on her neck. The townspeople were in an uproar, demanding answers and pointing fingers. And suspicion fell squarely on Dorian. But when a mob of people gathered to confront him at his mansion, they found it abandoned. Dorian had vanished, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a growing sense of dread. In the aftermath, the Reeves family retreated further into isolation. Their parties ceased, and their once vibrant presence in Dayton faded into obscurity. The mansion, once a symbol of their prominence, became a dark and silent place. Over time, the Reeves numbers dwindled, and by the mid-20th century, the family line seemed to have all but disappeared. The mansion itself fell into disrepair, its grandeur replaced by decay and overgrowth. As for Dorian, his fate remains a mystery. Some believe he moved on to another town, continuing his enigmatic existence elsewhere. Thank you, Suzanne. Others think he met a darker end, perhaps at the hands of those who sought to stop him. And then there are those who whisper that he never left Dayton at all. That he's still there, lurking in the shadows. And as the years passed, the tale of Dorian Blackwood and the Reeves family became part of local folklore. A cautionary tale told to dissuade children from wandering the streets after dark. And that's the tale of the Reeves vampires. And welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. Thank you, Songbird. Oh, thanks, Possum. I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all of these stories myself, and you can listen to them whenever you would like on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. Thank you, Deborah. That was cute. Hi, Lindy. Hi, Danny. Hi, Jackson. All right, guys. Thanks. Thank you so much, Fairy Witch. I'm glad I can help you relax. All right, you guys. I'm going to set up the next poll for us to vote. And if you could do me a big favor, could you hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner? There's a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs. And it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Also, sharing to your stories and sharing with your friends helps too. And thank you for all the taps. And yes, Possum, I have done the Charleston and Savannah tours actually. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Dennis, for the thumbs up. Hi, Mario. Yes, the porch bells are amazing. Welcome to the porch. We're glad to have you here. Tara, if it's not counting your taps, just swipe out and come back in and see if it will then, because sometimes they have this thing called tap jail, where if you tap too fast and they think you're a robot, they won't count your taps for a while. Hi, Bonnie. Thank you, Suzanne. That was so cute. All right, you guys, the next poll is ready. We have the Dream Machine, the Dead Children's Playground, the Holler from Hell, the Melonheads, and the Ozarks Howler. And you can vote in the top left-hand corner. There is a blue box, and you can vote up to 50 times. Yes, Kim. Exactly. And you can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. So who's it gonna be? The Dream Machine, the playground, the Dead Children's Playground, the Holler from Hell, the Melonheads, or the Ozarks Howler? Who's it gonna be, guys? Rebecca, that one just premiered yesterday. The Playground story is the new story that just premiered yesterday. Hi, Thay. And the winner is the Dead Children's Playground. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you, Suzanne. Seahorses, I love them. Thank you, Solange. Thanks, Jess. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all of these stories myself, and you can listen to them whenever you would like on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. I also have all of the links in my bio. We also have a lot of fun merch. If you want to check it out, it's in the blue banner at the top. Lots of fun cryptid stuff, story-related things, all kinds of stuff that I think you'll find fun and silly. Even if you don't want to buy anything, I think you'll like checking it out, get a kick out of it. And the winner of the poll was The Dead Children's Playground, which is the new story of the week. So I will be right back with that. Thanks, Emily. And if you guys could do me a favor while I'm setting up the next story, if you could just hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner for me. Aren't they cute, Mamasaurus? The shorts for men, I love them. And there's a little yellow circle with two arrows chasing each other that says repost. That puts the live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Also, sharing to your stories helps too, and tapping. So I will be right back with The Dead Children's Playground. Thank you, Lisa. Hi, Patty. Thank you, Nate. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the Dead Children's Playground. The first time I had heard about the Dead Children's Playground in Huntsville, Alabama, it wasn't from a travel guide or a ghost hunting show. It came from a porch pal named Ashley. She sent me an email about it, and she even went out of her way to post pictures of it on the Porch Lore Discord page. Thank you, Jess. So, I figured I had to check it out for myself. The drive down to Alabama was beautiful. I truly love cruising through our beautiful countryside. And after a very long drive, I made it to my Airbnb. It was walking distance from the playground, so it would be easy for me to investigate and film content. The playground sits beside Maple Hill Cemetery, one of the oldest burial grounds in Alabama. Locals say that at night, the swings move on their own, even when the air is still. They say children's laughter can be heard long after the park is supposed to be empty. The story goes that Spirits of children buried nearby come out to play after dark. The first day I was there, I decided to go for a walk around the neighborhood. There were a lot of historical things in the area, not just the cemetery. Plus, I thought it'd be better to check out the cemetery at night. The Alabama sun was high, flattening shadows and bleaching the color out of everything. As I was walking around, I noticed a little girl. Can one of my mods come over here to YT, please? She was walking down the sidewalk on her own. It looked like she had a fresh scrape on her knee, and I could see blood. She was hurt, and she looked upset and lost. I approached her calmly and I asked if she was okay, and if her parents were nearby. But she didn't answer. The scrape on her knee wasn't serious, but it needed to be cleaned. I checked my phone for signal, already thinking about calling the police. But there was just something about her, about how she stood there dirty and trembling and upset. And my maternal instincts kicked in. I knew that as soon as I dropped her off at the police station, she'd probably be held in some back room until they could locate her parents. Or until child services came to get her. So I decided that I'd help first and report it second. I chose humanity over avoiding liability. So I asked her if she would let me clean off her boo-boo at my house across the street. I figured that way I could also give her something to eat and drink before I dropped her off at the police station. She looked at me, smiled, and reached out her tiny little hand for me to grab it. And then she followed me, holding my hand without any hesitation. The walk to the Airbnb wasn't long, but I kept glancing at her just to see if she was still okay. I'm not a mother, and I was panicking about keeping this little girl safe in my care. She walked with perfect poise, without saying a word. Her gaze fixed straight ahead. We got to the house and I cleaned her knee with a damp cloth and antiseptic from the Airbnb's first aid kit. She didn't flinch. She didn't even react at all. The cut looked recent, but the edges slightly darkened like it had happened. Like it hadn't happened today, like it had been reopened instead of freshly made. I wrapped it up and I gave her something to eat, cheese with crackers and some strawberries. And as she nibbled at her snacks, I tried to get any information I could out of her. Names, a street, a school, anything. But still, she said nothing. And we continued sitting there in silence as she snacked. By late afternoon, I decided there was no reason to wait any longer. Lost child, no identification, no response, it needed to be reported. So I calmly told her that we were going to the police station. that someone there would help us find her parents. And that was the first time she reacted. It wasn't dramatic. No crying, no resistance, just a shift in her shoulders. They tightened and she looked very uneasy. The police station wasn't far. I parked out front and I turned to her, and I explained gently that we would go inside together and that everything was going to be okay. She didn't move. I tried again, softer this time, reassuring her that I would be there too. Still nothing. The tension in her small frame felt absolute. She was refusing to get out of the car. And I didn't want to force her. I don't know anything about this little girl and what she's been through. So, I went inside alone, and I explained the situation to the officer at the front desk. A young girl, injured, unresponsive, and possibly lost. I asked if someone could come out to the car to help me convince her to get out. The officer agreed, so we walked back to the car together. I remember reaching for the car door, already turning to try to explain her behavior, her silence, her fear. And then I looked inside, and the back seat was empty. My car was empty. She was gone. She ran. The officer checked the surrounding lot and the sidewalk, even behind the building. There was nowhere she could have gone in the time it took me to step inside, and no one saw her leave. Eventually, the police took down her description and told me that they'd keep an eye out for her. Evening came slowly, and the sky shifted from pale gold to a purpley blue. I had driven across town to run a few errands and pick up some dinner when I noticed her. It was the little girl. She was walking down the sidewalk, looking terrified and lost. Relief hit me, and then confusion. How did she get this far from the police station so quickly? I stopped my car beside her, and I rolled down the window. And I asked her how I could help. I told her that I just wanted to help her find her parents. Then she nodded and smiled at me and hopped right back into the car. The sun was setting by this point, and the roads grew quieter as we moved away from the center of town. Thank you, Justin. Her directions were coming not in words, but in small gestures. Subtle turns of her head, slight movements of her hand, telling me where to turn, but it was enough for me to follow. The streetlights flickered one by one, and the sky darkened, and the houses thinned out, replaced by stretches of trees. And then I realized that we had arrived at the entrance of Maple Hill Cemetery. Thank you, Brooksy. The iron gate silhouetted against the last light of dusk. I parked, and we sat there in silence. And then I looked past her at the rows of headstones disappearing into the dark. And I saw 2 figures standing there as if they were waiting for her. She leaned over and gave me a sweet little hug, and her skin was ice cold for a little girl who had been walking all day in the Alabama summer. Thank you, Songbird. Then she hopped out and walked toward the edge of the playground where it met the first row of graves. I only saw the silhouettes of the 2 figures that I believed to be her parents in the blinding glow of the setting sun. I put up my hand to shield my eyes from the sun to get a better view. And the little girl and her parents were gone. Thank you, Nate. I got out and I walked the entire grounds of the playground and cemetery looking for them, looking for any sign that other living people had been there. But I found nothing. I don't know why that little girl's lost spirit chose me, but I hope being reunited with her parents helped them all move on. And that's the tale of the Dead Children's Playground. Thank you, Songbird. This is the new story that premiered yesterday. Just a reminder, I do premiere a new story every week. So if it's something you haven't heard before, odds are it's possibly one of the new ones. Thank you guys. Thanks so much. Welcome in, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. Thank you, AA Ron. Thanks, Gobbler. Thank you, Kim. Also, I'm here every single night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. And I do write and record all these stories so you can listen to them whenever you would like. On my YT page, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites, just look for Porch Lore and you'll find me. Also, all the links are in my bio. Also, we have some really fun merch if you guys want to check it out. You don't have to buy anything. Just check it out. I think you guys will really like the cute, funny things I made. There's cryptid shirts and story-themed stuff. Hi, Joanne. All kinds of good stuff like that. Thank you, Celia. Seahorses. I love them. Thank you, Miss Megan. I appreciate it. Welcome in. Also, yes, thank you, Justin. Tomorrow, if you guys want to hang out during the daytime, I am on during the day on Wednesdays on camera hanging out. You also can put a face to the voice and we just hang out. The air has been very smoky where I live right now, so I might not be doing an outdoor live, but a lot of times we go outside and we have a lot of fun. And it's called Witchy Wednesday, and it's tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Seahorse body, who didn't invite me? Hi, Beefy. And thank you guys for all your taps so far and the beautiful gifts that you guys have been given. And if you guys could do me a big favor while I set up the next poll for us to vote, if you could hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs and it helps us grow our beautiful porch. Also, sharing to your stories helps a lot, and sharing with your friends helps too. Oh, that's okay, Suzanne. I understand. Thank you, Eric, for typing in keywords. All right, you guys, thank you for reposting, sharing, tapping, all the good things. I will be right back with the next poll for us to vote for the next story. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the porch. All right, you guys, the next poll is ready. We have the Dogman, Poplar Creek, Haint Blue, La Lechuza, and the Mothman. You can vote in the blue box in the top left-hand corner. There's a little blue box. You can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. Hi, Jasmine. We have Hi Love Bug. We have the Dogman, Poplar Creek, Haint Blue, La Lechuza, and the Mothman. Who's it gonna be? What, Twana? What do you mean vertical? Is the live on YT for you not usually vertical? Hi, Matt. Glad you're here. I hope you're okay. Oh, Twana, I didn't know you could watch it in landscape too. You can watch the live in landscape too. That's neat. I didn't know that. And don't worry, Twana, the Poplar Creek story that you want to hear, that was just last week's story. So people get kind of sick of hearing the news story, and then it just doesn't win for a little while, and then give it a couple weeks and it'll win. But you can always listen to it on YT too. That's why I was asking, Twana. That's so interesting. So it's never been vertical for you, even on your phone? That's so wild, because it's always been vertical for me, because I watch it on a second phone just in case. And that's crazy. I didn't even know you could watch it horizontally or landscape. That's so cool. Yeah, it's always been vertical for me. How funny. So if it's landscape, what does the porch look like? Oh wait, there's, yeah, the holler from hell. Yeah, the holler from hell is the Poplar Creek one where I jump on the train. But then there's also the Booger Hollow. There's 2 hollers, like Booger Hollow, which is a holler too. And that one's where we stay in a tent and we have a permit. We have a damn permit. Megan said on a midnight train to Booger. Hi, Novia. Ellie, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the porch. Oh, that's weird, Twana. Hold on. Oh, I need to set a new one. That's why. But it shouldn't have taken away your gifts. I think maybe you're just viewing it in a different format. I bet you if you stretch your, it sounds crazy, but I think if you stretch your window out bigger, like your browser window, like either stretch it bigger or stretch it tighter, like smaller or bigger, I think it changes. I know. Booger Hollow. Because that's actually where the boogeyman came from. Yeah, a booger is a ghost in old ass Appalachian language. Matt, making it rain. I'm sorry you have the flu. Oh my god, I love your YT name. Maleficent the Kind Fae. Maleficent's my favorite. I love it. I love her. That's true, Ellie. But that's why they named them boogers. Because they were like creepy, gross, spooky things. What came first, the ghost or the crusty thing in your nose? We might never know. We might never know. All right, you guys, the winner of the poll was the Dogman of Michigan. And I'll be right back. Oh, that's so weird, Twana. I'm sorry. I'm just spitballing here. I don't really know how. I'm still new to the YT thing, too. But let me know if you figure it out. Hi, Skrilla. Did you have a good nap? You knew a kid who ate his ghosts? Is that a typo? Oh, Jasmine, you know what? A lot of people say that they'll fall asleep while we're chatting. They don't even need the stories. Oh, I get it, Eric. I get it. It took me a minute. It took me a minute there, Eric. Sorry. Thank you, Novia. Thanks, Jasmine. Love you too. All right, guys, I'll be right back with the Dogman of Michigan. Me too, Maleficent. Me too. I talk about Maleficent all the time in my life, actually, and how she was totally done wrong, and she's not the villain in the story. The prince and the king are villains, and yeah, she's 100%. But I mean, that's pretty much what, if you look at any female character through the history of time, the ones that actually like get revenge or take their power back or like stand up for themselves are literally witches, villains, you know, evil genius, whatever. Nova Ea. Thank you. Nova Ea. Thank you so much. I was trying. I tested out 2 different versions. So I was hoping you'd tell me which one was right. So thank you so much. Aw, Twana, thank you. You're so sweet. I love you. You're like, just because I can't figure out how to send the little gifts. I love you, Twana. Thank you. And see, Skrilla, that's why you don't have, with great power comes great responsibility. And like I said, am I out there crashing ships? Or am I helping people fall asleep? Could I be a villain? Yes. But not really, because I can't even kill bugs, so probably not. No, I didn't. Nova Ea, right? Nova Ea. Nova Ea? It's a pretty name. Nova Ea. That's a really pretty name. Well, yeah, Beefy, I can do both. I definitely, yeah, I can do both, but I choose not to. I knock people out? No, I've never knocked anybody out. Kim does that for me. Skrill. I stopped myself. Oh, you mean with sleep? Okay. I said Kim does that for me. Yeah, for sleep, yes, I do. But in their beds, not while they're driving ships. That's the difference, right? Because traditionally, we did it to sailors, and then they crashed their ships into rocks, you know? But now, I do it when you guys are in your rooms, cozy in bed. Hello, Joe. How are you? She said, I meant gross, not gross. That's so cool. You're going to be in it? That's so cool. All right, I'll be right back with Dogman. That totally counts. I love that, Maleficent. That's fun. I love that. Sometimes you pretend. I love that. That's so cute. That's so cool. Part 6. I love it. That's amazing. That's so exciting. I'm so proud of you. And welcome in, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories. So sit back and relax. Feel free to repost and reshare. Happy Tuesday. And submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the Dog Man of Michigan. Skrilla, I believe it. Cindy, she's talking about the Descendants season, or number 6. You just say you approve. It's just for fun. Is Ange in here? She was in here earlier, right? She's in the story. Oh, Twana, the movie you're talking about is Maleficent. As someone who has spent years researching paranormal, I've learned that legends tend to survive for a reason. Sometimes the reason is cultural, sometimes historical, sometimes psychological. Thank you, Turner. And every once in a while, the reason is because something actually happened to someone, whether they understood it or not. This summer, I decided to drive to Michigan to spend a long weekend with my friend Ange. Thank you, Dennis. Ange and I met on TikTok through our mutual interest in folklore and the unexplained. And she's lived in Michigan all her life. And she knew the state's forest far better than I did. She also knew exactly how to get me interested in a road trip. A couple weeks before, she had sent me a message containing nothing more than a photograph. The image showed an old newspaper clipping. The headline read, "Local hunter reports encounter with upright canine." The article itself was from the 1960s. Ange had found it while researching Michigan folklore to help me with story ideas. Hi, Rocky Mountain Fairy. Then, a few days later, she uncovered 2 more reports, different decades, different witnesses. But nearly identical descriptions. A large animal, dark fur, wolf-like head, seen standing upright. All of them occurred roughly within 30 miles of one another. Now, most people are familiar with the Michigan Dogman because of the famous radio song that popularized the legend in the late 1980s. But what interested me was everything that came before the song. The older reports, the ones recorded before the creature was ingrained in Michigan folklore. Because witnesses from the 1930s, the 1950s, and the 1960s couldn't have been influenced by a modern legend they had never heard. Yet they all described remarkably similar encounters. And that was enough to get my attention. The plan was simple. I'd spend a weekend with Ange roaming around the mitten. We'd film some material for porch lore content, visit a few historical locations, talk to locals, and get some local oral history and folklore recorded. Thank you, Denise. But neither of us expected to become part of the story ourselves. I drove up to Grand Rapids on a Thursday afternoon. Thank you, Denise. Seahorses, I love them. Ange was meeting me there so we could follow each other to the first location. Ange and I complement each other well. She's practical and funny. She's also the type of person who would happily spend 6 hours researching something. She's a deep thinker and loves to analyze ideas with me. Thank you, Miss Hospice. Which makes her the perfect travel companion. Thank you, Miss Hospice. She's also a December Sagittarius. So she's much more of a planner than I am, which I need and I truly appreciate. She had already had an itinerary prepared. 3 historical locations connected to early Dogman reports, and 2 interviews with local residents. Thank you, Luigi. And a rented cabin near the edge of a heavily forested area where multiple sightings had supposedly occurred. During the drive north, we talked almost nonstop, which I love. We discussed how many of the sightings clustered around an old logging community and several involved hunters. By Friday morning, we were driving toward the first location, an abandoned logging settlement that had been reclaimed by the forest decades earlier. Very little remained. A few stone foundations, pieces of rusted equipment scattered. Very little evidence that people had once lived and worked there. The woods surrounding the site were beautiful. Not ominous and not creepy, just dense. Towering white pines rose above the trail, while ferns covered much of the ground. Thank you, Tam. Thank you, Ken. We spent several hours filming, taking photographs, discussing the historical reports. And nothing unusual happened. The second location was similar. Again, nothing strange happened. By late afternoon, we had accumulated plenty of footage of the area, but very little mystery. And then we met with the old man, my first interview. His name was Harold. He lived alone on a property bordering several thousand acres of forest. Ange had arranged for us to have a brief interview with him. Yeah, me too, Tam, isn't it cute? Harold was in his 80s, sharp-minded and super friendly. The kind of person who immediately feels trustworthy because he doesn't seem interested in impressing anyone. When we mentioned the dog man, he chuckled. But not dismissively, almost fondly. Like someone remembering an old family story. According to him, people in the area had been reporting strange encounters for generations. But the details changed, depending on the decade. Sometimes, witnesses describe a creature covered in hair. Sometimes a wild man. Sometimes a giant wolf. So eventually the dog man became the preferred explanation. Then he told us about an old fire tower deep in the forest, long abandoned. Years earlier, several hunters had reported unusual activity nearby. Missing equipment, footprints, strange observations, but nothing dramatic. Just enough incidences to make people uncomfortable. So, the next morning we set out to find it. The hike took nearly 3 hours. Most of the route followed old service roads that hadn't been maintained in years. It was a rough hike. Trees had begun reclaiming large portions of the path. Several times, we had to climb over fallen trunks. The further we traveled, the less evidence we saw of any recent visitors. Eventually, the tower appeared through the trees. It stood above the forest canopy like a rusted skeleton, much older looking than I had expected. Several support beams showed obvious signs of corrosion. The stairs remained intact, but they looked questionable. Ange took one look at them and announced that she wasn't climbing that thing. And I'm scared of heights, so there was no way I was going up that rickety old thing. We spent nearly an hour filming around the structure, and again, nothing unusual happened. Scroll. Except the fact that one of the straps on my backpack broke, and I had to try to shove as much as I could into my crossbody bag. I decided to leave my backpack at the tower, and I would just grab it on the walk back to the car later. And then Ange found the footprints. Roughly human in shape, but far larger than any human foot should have been. And then we saw another and another, a trail of prints that led away from the tower into the woods. I remember feeling excited, not frightened, because evidence meant an investigation, and an investigation meant answers. So we followed the tracks. The tracks continued for almost half a mile, sometimes visible, sometimes disappearing. But we continued deeper into what seemed like a forest of endless trees. And then we finally found a clearing. And in the center contained a structure. Not a building, not a cabin, a platform, constructed from logs, weathered and aged. It looked decades old, perhaps older. Neither of us understood why it was there. And then we noticed what surrounded it. Objects, hundreds of them. Rusted lanterns, tools, buttons, pieces of camping gear, old bottles, a broken compass, a hunting knife. Scattered items from different decades. Some seemed to be very old, and others looked relatively modern. It didn't look like a campsite. It looked like a collection. People didn't accidentally leave this much stuff all in this one area. Someone or something had gathered this stuff for years. And then my jaw dropped as I noticed my backpack, the one I had left near the tower 40 minutes ago. It sat atop the platform with its broken strap perfectly centered. Neither of us moved. There was no other explanation. Someone or something had taken it. So let me get this straight. While we were following the tracks, something had reached the tower after we left, taken my backpack, and then beat us back there half a mile through the woods and placed it there deliberately? Ange grabbed my arm and said that we needed to keep moving, and I agreed. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Giggles. Around sunset, we stopped at a clearing overlooking a marsh. The location was beautiful. Golden light reflected across the water. Dragonflies skimmed the surface. The air had finally begun to cool down. And then I saw Ange suddenly freeze. I followed her gaze across the marsh, and perhaps 200 yards away, something moved between the trees. At first, I thought it was a bear. Michigan does have black bears, and that would have been a perfectly reasonable explanation. But then the animal stood up, not reared like bears tend to do. It stood like a person rising from a chair. The creature remained partially obscured by vegetation, but I could clearly see the silhouette. Tall, massive shoulders. It stayed motionless for several seconds watching us. Then the thing turned and walked behind a stand of trees and vanished. Angela lowered her binoculars and neither of us spoke. We just stared at each other with our mouths wide open in awe. We left shortly after, and the hike back to the car was terrifying. The sun was setting fast and we kept seeing shapes in between trees. We were just paranoid at that point. It felt like it was following us all the way back to the tower and all the way back to the trailhead, but always just out of sight, but making sure that we left. I don't know what we encountered in those woods, but I can't stop thinking about the collection we found, the hidden platform with decades of objects gathered in the forest. Because that suggests curiosity and intelligence, not some random animal, not some mindless predator. Something that watched people, something that learned about them, and something that kept pieces of them. Something that has been studying us for a very long time. And that's the tale of the dog man. Thank you, Rachel, for the cozy cryptids. Thank you for the adorable butterflies, Miss Hospice. He's so cute. Hi, Christy. Welcome to the porch. Oh my God, did you, Brooke? I love that. I was thinking about you earlier today and I was just cracking up in my car again, thinking about how you're like, it's in my ass. Porch pals, welcome Christy to the porch. Hi, Christy. Thank you, Dr. O. I just imagine the dog man like Ariel from Little Mermaid. And he's like, look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? As he romps around the forest stealing people's shit from their campsites. Hello, John. Welcome in. This is live spooky bedtime stories. Exactly, Skrilla. Exactly. Combing his hair with a fork. Exactly. Exactly. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all of these stories myself, and you can listen to them whenever you would like on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. I'm going to set up the next poll for us to vote for the next story. And if you guys could do me a big favor and hit that share arrow in the bottom right hand corner, there's a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax. Check out the shooting stars, and welcome to the porch. Happy Tuesday. I'll be right back with the next poll. Thank you, Christy. Welcome to the porch. Oh my gosh, thank you, Miss Hospice. I love the star map of Polaris. Isn't that so pretty? Thank you so much. Isn't that pretty? Thank you, Miss Hospice. Hi, Fowls. Welcome in. Okay, you guys, the next poll is ready. We have Highway 666, The Tree People, The Phantom Ride, The Lubbock Lights, and The Door in the Water. You can vote in the blue box in the top left-hand corner, and you can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. Who's it gonna be? We've got Highway 666, we've got The Tree People, we've got The Phantom Ride, Lubbock Lights, and The Door in the Water. Who's it gonna be, guys? Yes, featuring Curtis the Seal. Yes, Mario, thank you guys for all the likes. I like all the little emojis, Maleficent. That's cute. Oh my gosh, they're neck and neck. This is exciting. Good one, Beefy. That was a good one. Megan, is who gonna kiss? And the winner is The Tree People. This one also has a new background because this is one of the OG stories. Also, shout out to Miss Hospice and Matt and Jess. Thank you guys for all the love. It is greatly appreciated. All right, guys, be right back. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax. And welcome to the porch. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, Archangelo, I decided to throw it in because no one ever requests it. And like I said, there's an entire list and no one ever picks from the list. They just pick the same 10 stories. So I figured I'd just throw one in from the list that no one ever asks for. So, Tree People it is, y'all. Matt. Be careful, Matt. Yeah, Lovely yep, she did. Lovely made the list for you guys. So, oh, thanks, Archangelo. So feel free to go check it out. You can save it, like screenshot it on your phone, refer to it whenever you would like on the Discord, and it's just a handy little, like if you have it saved in pictures on your phone, when you're thinking of requests, you can just like flip over to it and be like, oh yeah, I've never heard that one. What the hell's that? What the hell's Tree People? Oh, thank you, Megan. That's so sweet. Brooke, you're cute. You must not be here when I mention it, because I mention the list like every night. And Lovely is amazing, and she updates it after every story. That's what you started doing, Eric? Yeah, I love that. Because, yeah, it's fun to be like, what is that? What's that story? What's that story? All right, guys, I'll be right back. That's okay, Tanya. That's okay, Brooke. When you do get here, you tell people that the stories that they can't find are up your ass, and that's worth its weight in gold. Yes, Maleficent. Take a beanbag chair. Yep, Skrilla, nobody. They don't like it. Matt, are you charging your phone while you have power back on? Thank you, Maleficent. Oh good, you have a generator mat? Perfect. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the tree people. Justin. That's when I made this picture. That's when I wrote the story. I grew up in North Carolina, but a few years ago, I moved to Montana for work. I wanted a fresh start, something different from the suburbs. And let me tell you, Montana is different. The air is so crisp it hurts in the winter, and the sky stretches so wide it feels like you're on another planet. And there are places out there where you can drive for miles without seeing a single house. It's beautiful, but it's also lonely in a way that sneaks up on you. I found that out the hard way when I took a solo weekend trip to a cabin in the middle of nowhere. It had been a long week at work, and I wanted to get away. Good night, Ellie. So I did. The cabin was one of those authentic rustic rentals. You know, where they basically disclose in the listing that there's no Wi-Fi, no TV, basically bare necessities. Thank you, Miss Hospice. Thank you. God, it's cute. Look how cute that is. I love the green poofy smoke that comes out when it's so cute. Basically a bare necessities rugged retreat. I love it too. It's so cute. Thank you so much. Hi, Saga. The kind of place that sounds like a dream until you actually get there and realize you're completely cut off from civilization. The drive alone should have been a warning. My GPS lost signal an hour before I even reached the cabin. The condition of the road kept getting worse. Potholes deep enough to swallow a tire. Barely enough space for one car. And trees pressing in on both sides like they were trying to keep me from getting through. I told myself everything was fine. I wanted an adventure, right? When I finally pulled up, the place looked abandoned. The pictures online showed a cute, well-maintained cabin, but in real life, the porch sagged. The windows looked dirty and the whole thing had this forgotten, unloved feeling about it. But at that point, I had been driving for hours, and I wasn't about to just turn around. I really just needed a rest. So I shrugged it off and I carried my bags inside. It's a bed for the night. The first night was fine, mostly. I made a fire, cooked myself some dinner, and read by candlelight because the single overhead light in the living room flickered so eerily, like something out of a horror movie. And honestly, I couldn't stand it anymore. The quiet out there was almost too quiet, if you can believe it. In the city, silence isn't really ever silence. There's always some type of background noise. A car in the distance, a neighbor's dog barking. But out there, it was complete and utter stillness. At some point, I started feeling weird. You know that sensation like you're being watched? I kept glancing out the windows, half expecting to see something looking in. But there wasn't, just darkness. I laughed at myself and I told myself that I was just creeping myself out because I wasn't used to this kind of quiet. So I just decided to go to bed. And that was the last normal night that I had. The next day, I went for a hike. There was a trail behind the cabin that led up to a ridge, and I figured I'd go check out the view. It was beautiful. But after a while, I got that weird feeling again. Like I wasn't alone. I stopped and listened, and nothing. No birds. No rustling leaves. Just silence. Thick and heavy. And then I saw them. At first, I thought it was just shadows moving in between the trees, but then I realized, no, these were figures. They didn't move in a normal way, not like people, more like marionettes. Their limbs bending at odd angles as they stepped in between the trees. Yep, pretty much the most horrifying way you could imagine a person moving their body. I stood there, frozen, watching them in horror. And then, all at once, they stopped. Every single one of them. And they turned their heads towards me. I ran. I don't even remember making the decision to run. My body just took over. The hike up there had taken me almost an hour, but I swear I made it back to that cabin in just a few minutes. I slammed the door shut and I locked it, and I grabbed the biggest knife I could find in the kitchen. For hours I sat there staring out the windows, listening, but there was nothing. Just silence. After a while, I started to convince myself that maybe I hadn't seen what I thought I had. Maybe the isolation was just getting to me. Maybe I was just freaking myself out. Hi, Psycho. But that night, I woke to the sound of something tapping on my bedroom window. And my bedroom was on the second floor. The tapping was rhythmic and precise. Not the random scrape of a tree branch, but something deliberate. Way to go, Matt. Like something was knocking. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. Hi, Iacona. I just laid there staring at the ceiling. And then, slowly I turned my head toward the window. And there was a face pressed against the glass. Welcome in, Hologrin. It was not a human face. Not even close. It had no eyes, just deep eye sockets, but I could tell it was looking at me. I grabbed my car keys and I ran downstairs. I didn't care about anything except getting the hell out of there. When I pulled open the front door, I stopped dead in my tracks. There they were, standing in the yard. Dozens of them. Their heads all tilting at the same time, like curious animals, all looking at me. I ran to my car. The second I got inside, I locked the doors and I started the engine. Headlights washed over the trees, and for a second I thought they were gone, but then I saw them in the rearview mirror right behind my car. I gunned it down that awful narrow road. I didn't look back, not until I was miles away. Thank you, Deborah. Back on the main road, speeding toward the nearest town. Thank you, Snarky. The next day, I called the rental company to ask about the cabin, and they acted confused. And they told me that there was no cabin at that location. So I drove back just to be sure. And sure enough, no cabin. There was nothing there. Just tall, strangely bent, thin, silent trees. And that's the tale of the tree people. Megan, the only story with cows is Highway 666. Thank you, Miss Hospice. I love that star map of Polaris. It's so pretty. Thank you, Maleficent. Thank you so much, Miss Hospice. I know, right, Rochelle? All right, you guys, since we have so many porch bells with us tonight still, I'm going to do another story. I'll do some extra stories. So I'm going to set up the next poll for us to vote on the next story. So just give me a minute. And if you're new here, welcome in. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. And I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning, sometimes later. I do write and record all of these stories myself, and if you'd like to listen to them when I'm not live, you can check them out on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore, and you'll find me. Hell yes, Nami. Nami, it's because you said, when I was reading, I saw you say, "You can't leave me yet." And I felt bad. So I was like, okay, Nami. You got it. You're welcome, guys. Thank you, Justin, for getting that. All right, you guys, I'm going to set up the next poll. And welcome to our new porch pals this evening. Grab a beanbag chair. Grab a hammock. Sit back and relax. Check out the shooting stars. And welcome to the porch. Happy Tuesday. All right, you guys. Oh, thank you, Rachel, for Merlin Street Fund. You're so cute. Thanks. You guys, Rachel's so cute. She'll give me a gift on YT and put Merlin Street Fund. All right, you guys. The next poll is ready. We have Highway 666 featuring Skrilla. We have the Mothman. We have the Door in the Water. We have the Marshlight, and we have the Baker Hotel. I know. Merlin needs his own bank account. He's so cute. All right, guys, you can vote in the top left-hand corner. There is a blue box. You can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. Who's it gonna be? Just click the blue box in the top left-hand corner to cast your vote, and you can vote up to 50 times. Lovely, you're so funny. A promise. Do you guys promise? You promise you'll come to Witchy Wednesday. And yes, just a reminder, tomorrow is Witchy Wednesday. Lovely, that's part of the reason I moved it to 1 p.m. instead of 11. Tomorrow's Witchy Wednesday, where we hang out. I'm on camera, you can put a face to the voice, and we talk about all kinds of stuff. Crystals, crows, we take nature walks, all the things. Well, Justin, don't promise. Yeah, don't even worry about it at all. But yes, feel free to come by and say hi if you guys would like. Misbehaving, I would like to, but I'm going to have to see what the air quality is like tomorrow, because today it was still dangerous. So it just depends. We did get rain earlier though, so maybe that'll help clear it up. That's okay, Mackenzie. I'm usually on for a while, so you'll probably be done. Yes, lovely. I live about 45 minutes from Ontario. So we're getting it bad. We're getting the smoke really bad. Oh, Rochelle, don't you dare. Rochelle, don't you dare. You are so cute. You did that last time. Rochelle works nights and then stays awake on Wednesdays to join Witchy Wednesday. I'm like, girl, are you crazy? Because that's when she's supposed to be sleeping. I'm like, oh my God. I'm in Ohio, but I'm right on the line of Michigan. Yeah, lovely. Last time she stayed up 26 hours. I know. Rochelle, I love you. You're so cute, but you can go to sleep, girl. Witchy Wednesday is not that exciting. I can always send you like the recording. I know, Crystal. Is that amazing? Rochelle's like, and she already works night shift. Did she ever show us her nails? No, she didn't. She said it was worth it. Yeah, you need to show us your nails. I know, right? She is dedicated. She's the best. Yeah, no sleep for the wicked. All right, guys, the winner is one of my favorite stories. The Door in the Water. Grab your passports, porch pals. We're going to Ireland. Isn't she, Jade? She's amazing. We're going to Ireland with my pet seal, Curtis. Justin, there's another. Oh, Jade got it. Never mind. And yes, that's my seal, Curtis. Isn't he cute? Justin, I love that. Hated it, love it. Curtis won. Thank you, Miss Behaven. Okay, Rochelle, you can post it in the Discord too if you want. Yeah, Brooke, maybe in Pusa. She never had one. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the door in the water. Also, feel free to repost or unpost and re-repost if you guys can. Thank you. Thank you, Bisbee. Thank you, Ears of Steam. Ireland has a long memory for the things that live near the water. Rivers, lakes, tidal inlets, places where the land blurs into something deeper, have always carried their own folklore. Long before written history, stories passed from village to village about beings that lived in those shifting boundaries between land and water. Some were said to be spirits. Others were described as ancient races that existed alongside humanity, but rarely would reveal themselves. Thank you, Shannon. And one of the oldest and most widely known among them is the Selkie. Thank you, Shannon. In Scottish and Irish folklore, Selkies are described as seals that can shed their skins and take human form on land. The stories appear in oral traditions stretching back centuries along the Atlantic coast, particularly in places where fishing villages live side by side with the sea. But the legends don't treat Selkies like romantic fairy tale creatures, no. Most of the old stories carry warnings. They describe fishermen seeing seals, watching them from the water with unsettling intelligence. They describe people who claim to encounter strangers along empty shorelines, who seemed almost human, but not. Thank you, sparkly music. And the most persistent belief woven through these stories is simple. If a Selkie's sealskin is stolen while they are on land, they cannot return to the sea. Some folktales describe human men hiding the skins and forcing the Selkie to marry them and remain on land. But the ending of those tales is rarely happy, usually resulting in the Selkie killing the human man, finding her skin, and leaving. No matter what life she built on land, no matter who she leaves behind, when given the choice, she will always return to the sea. And the men who tried to remove that choice usually wound up dead. And in some stories, the sea takes something with it when that happens. The man's soul. I had been traveling along Ireland's western coastline for several days, working on a series about folklore that still lingers quietly in certain landscapes. The Atlantic coast of Ireland is the perfect place for that kind of story. Thank you, Misty. Cliffs fall straight into cold gray water. Fishing villages sit exactly where they have for centuries. And the wind carries the smell of salt and seaweed across miles of open stone. It's the kind of place where old stories don't feel completely separate from the present. Eventually, my route took me to Doolin, a small village perched along the coast, not far from the cliffs of Moher. Most visitors come there for the cliffs or the traditional music pubs. Thanks, Jade. But a few miles north of the village sits a narrow stretch of shoreline that locals call the Seal Strand. It's not marked on tourist maps, and there's no sign pointing the way. Just a rough gravel track leading toward the water. I found the place late in the afternoon while exploring the coastline. The Atlantic stretched out endlessly beyond the rocks, gray waves rolling slowly toward the shore. A handful of seals were resting on black stone ledges near the waterline. They watched me quietly as I approached. Seals are common along the Irish coast, so at first, the sight didn't seem unusual. But the way they were watching me did. They weren't startled, and they didn't slide back into the water like most seals do when people get close. They just stayed there, watching me, following my movements with their eyes. The tide was beginning to fall, exposing long stretches of slick rock that hadn't been visible earlier. Pools of seawater collected in the crevices, reflecting the dimming sky. I walked along the shoreline for a while, filming the seals from a distance and listening to the steady rhythm of the waves. Eventually, the animals slipped quietly back into the water one by one, except for one. It remained on a flat rock near the edge of a narrow inlet. A large gray seal, its head tilted slightly as it watched me. The sun dipped lower, shadows from the cliffs stretched across the water. And that was when I noticed something strange along the far side of the inlet. A figure on the rocks. At first, I thought it was another visitor watching the sunset. Thank you, Ears of Steam. But something about the posture caught my attention. They sat perfectly still, barefoot. Long dark hair moved gently in the wind. I assumed they simply hadn't noticed me yet. The inlet was quiet except for the sound of waves brushing against the rocks. So, I walked a little closer. And that's when the seal on the rock behind me slipped into the water. The splash echoed across the inlet, and the figure on the far side turned and looked directly at me. Their expression wasn't surprised or annoyed. It was almost as if they had been expecting someone to arrive. They stood slowly and stepped onto the wet rock beside the inlet. And that was when I noticed something else. Their clothes lay folded neatly on a nearby stone. And beside them, something dark and heavy. Something that looked almost like a wet animal hide. For a moment, neither of us moved. The wind picked up slightly, pushing small waves through the narrow channel between the rocks. Thank you, Jade. The figure studied me with a calm, steady expression. And then they did something I still struggle to explain. They stepped directly into the water, then disappeared beneath the surface without a splash. I stood there waiting for them to reappear. Seconds passed, and then a minute. The water remained perfectly calm. No movement, no sign of anyone surfacing. I walked to the edge of the inlet and I looked down into the dark water. The tide had pulled away enough that the bottom should have been visible through the clear surface. But the channel dropped deeper than I had expected. The water turned black just a few feet below the rocks. Thank you, Stace. As I leaned closer, something moved beneath the surface, rising upward. The gray seal from earlier broke the surface of the water, only a few feet from where the figure had just vanished. It floated there, quietly, looking at me. And in that moment, the strange thought crossed my mind. That maybe I was looking into the same eyes that had been watching me from across the inlet earlier. The seal held my gaze for several seconds, and then it slowly turned toward the rock where the folded clothes still lay. I followed its gaze, and the hide was gone. Nothing remained except the pile of clothes on a wet stone and the sound of the ocean moving around it. When I turned back toward the water, the seal had vanished. Thank you, sparkly music. Night was settling over the coastline by then, and the wind grew stronger, pushing the tide slowly back toward shore, and the inlet began filling with deeper water. I stayed there for a while longer, trying to convince myself that there had to be a simple explanation. But the longer I stood there, the more the scene replayed in my mind. Folded clothes, dark hide beside them, the way the seals watched me, and the way the final one had surfaced exactly where the figure had disappeared. Eventually I started to walk back toward the car, and the last light of day had faded completely. Halfway up the path, I heard a sound, a voice, carried by the wind, a song. I turned. By now the inlet was barely visible in the darkness, but something stood on the rock. The wind shifted again and carried another sound across the rocks. I stood there listening to her song as the call echoed across the shoreline. Then another answered from somewhere out in the ocean, and then another. Several voices. The figure on the rock didn't move. It simply watched the water waiting as the tide continued rising slowly beneath the cliffs, filling the inlet, reaching the rock where the figure stood. And just before the waves covered the stone completely, the shape disappeared beneath the water, as if it had always belonged there. I stayed long enough to watch the tide swallow the inlet entirely. The ocean grew quiet again, and the rocks vanished beneath the dark surface. Nothing remained except the sound of the waves and the wind moving across the cliffs. But as I finally turned back toward the road, one thought kept circling my mind. In all the old legends, the Selkie only returns to the sea after finding her skin again. And if that dark hide on the rock had really been what it looked like, then the question that stayed with me wasn't whether I had seen a Selkie that evening. That wasn't the unnerving part. The horrifying thought to me was, who was the sick human being that took her skin? And where is he now? And that's the tale of the door in the water. And thank you, Toaster. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore. I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. sometimes later, like tonight. Hi, Pirate Hooker. Welcome in. Thank you. I do write and record all these stories myself, and you can listen to them whenever you would like on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. I also have all the links in my bio. And if you'd like to join us tomorrow, it is Witchy Wednesday, and I do a daytime live as well. I'll be on at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm on camera. We hang out. Sometimes I hike. Sometimes we look at crystals. Sometimes you guys get to meet Merlin, and you put a face to the voice, and we just chill. So if you'd like to join me tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be here. Yes. Yes, Holly. Depending on the air quality tomorrow, we might be outside. We'll just have to see how it goes. Thank you, Pirate Hooker. All right, guys. And if you are new here and you've been enjoying yourself, don't forget to give me a follow. So if you fall off the porch, you can find your way back. Also, if you guys could do me a big favor, could you hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner? There is a little yellow circle. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Miss Hospice. I love that guy. He's so cute. There's a little yellow circle with two arrows chasing each other that says repost. That puts my live into your friends' FYPs. And it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Also, the little circle with the star in it that says add to story or whatever, that also helps. Send it out to your friends. Also, thank you for all of the taps tonight. We're at 334 taps. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That also helps get us pushed out. And if you guys are new here, we end the live every night. Oh, Matt, thanks for the galaxy. Thank you, Matt. Do you still have power over there? Yeah, it's a safety net. If you're new here, we end the live with the same story every night because it got requested so often and people would get really sad if I ended the live without reading it. So I jokingly said, well, I'm going to start ending every live with this story. And then everybody wanted me to. And then I tried to stop doing it a while ago, and there was almost a mutiny on the porch. So this is the story that we now, it's beloved. We have beloved characters. We have stickers for it in the chat. I also have an entire section on my merch store just dedicated to this story alone. So if it's your first time hearing it, welcome in. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax. Check out the shooting stars. Happy Tuesday and welcome to the porch. And I will be right back with the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. Thank you, Holly. I love that whale. And I love the water sound effects. They're so cute. Thank you, Holly. Thank you so much for helping me with my gallery, you guys. I really appreciate it. You're the best. Aw, thanks, Matt. You guys are so kind. Exactly, Jade. Those sound effects are soothing. Yep. I'm so sorry, Holly. I was worried about you. I'm glad you're okay. You'll have to send me a message and tell me about it. It was 102 snarky. Yeah, my goodness. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the Sycamore Diner, or of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. I'm not usually the kind of person who pulls over on back roads at night. Not unless I absolutely have to. But that night, something about the storm, the long drive, and that growling pit in my stomach convinced me otherwise. I was hungry. It was late October, and I was headed back to campus after a weekend visit with my friends in North Carolina. And you're right, Justin and Sherry, I totally do. I had a midterm on Monday, and my plan had been to drive straight through. 5 hours, no stops. But then came the rain. One of those cold, slanted, whispery rains that creeps into your bones and makes the windshield wipers sound like a heartbeat. I had taken the wrong exit, trying to bypass traffic, and I ended up on a 2-lane back road, surrounded by nothing but pine trees and power lines. And that's when I saw the neon sign. SYCAMRE Diner. The O in Sycamore was flickering, like it hadn't worked right in years. But the rest was lit up in a cherry red neon. A tiny beacon in the middle of nowhere. I figured I'd grab a quick bite, maybe some coffee, check my map, and get back on the highway. But I should have just kept driving. I should have known something was off the second I stepped inside. The bell over the door jingled, but not like a normal bell. It made this sharp metallic ping that echoed longer than it should have. The air inside was warm, almost too warm, and it smelled like grilled onions and pancake syrup. The place looked like it had been yanked straight from 1957. Checkerboard floor, red vinyl booths, a long counter with spinning stools, even a jukebox in the corner that looked like it hadn't worked in decades. Thank you, Giggles. And the people, they all stopped and looked at me the second I walked in. Not in a rude way, just quiet, like they weren't expecting me. Like I had walked into the middle of a sentence that no one wanted to finish. A waitress, tall, with a beehive hairdo and a light blue uniform, smiled and waved me over. "You get caught in the rain, sweetheart," she said, handing me a laminated menu. "Thank you, Willie. Welcome in." I nodded, still trying to shake off that weird feeling. Yeah, the highway's a mess. She chuckled and patted my shoulder. "Well, you're safe here. Sycamore's always open for travelers." I sat down at a corner booth, and the vinyl creaked. And I remember the jukebox shifted songs by itself and started playing some slow doo-wop ballad that I didn't recognize. I looked around and everyone looked normal, sort of. Me too, Rachel. There was a trucker with a thick gray beard drinking coffee at the counter. A young couple whispering to each other in a booth by the jukebox. And an older woman stirring tea like she was lost in thought. But they all had the same look in their eyes, like they were there but also somewhere else. Like they were watching me out of the corner of their eyes even when they were looking down. The waitress came back with coffee, strong, hot, and surprisingly good. And I ordered a grilled cheese with fries. Simple, safe. She wrote it down with one of those clicky pens and said, "Don't worry, it's on the house tonight." And that was my second red flag. No diner just gives food away. While I waited, I took out my phone to check the map. No signal, and I mean nothing. No bars, no Wi-Fi, not even GPS. Aaron. Aaron. Just a blank screen with a spinning wheel. I glanced out the foggy window and the storm was still going. But now the wind had picked up. I could see the power lines swaying like jump ropes in the dark. But the diner stayed perfectly lit. Not even a flicker. The food came fast, too fast, like under 5 minutes. But it looked amazing. Golden bread, gooey cheese, crispy fries, with a little metal cup of ketchup on the side. Oh man, I missed the sweet hole jokes. Damn it. Type them again. I took a bite. Delicious. I mean, I've eaten at a lot of diners, greasy spoons, college joints, and roadside shacks, but this was hands down the best grilled cheese I've ever had. The fries were perfect, and the coffee never ran out. Jackson. Every time I took a sip, it was somehow full again. I was halfway through the sandwich when the trucker got up to leave. He walked right past my table, nodded once, and whispered, "Don't stay past midnight." That's all he said. What? But he was already out the door. The waitress gave me a tight smile and walked over, collecting his empty mug. Old Earl, he's always saying weird stuff. Just ignore him. But I couldn't. Something about his voice stuck with me. Something about the way he was looking at me. Not like I was a customer, but like I was in danger. I checked the clock over the register. 11:42. I figured I had just enough time to finish my fries, grab the check, and head out. Plus, I still had at least 3 hours left on the road. But when I stood up, the lights flickered. Just once, and then again. And then everything in the diner stopped moving. The couple by the jukebox froze mid-sentence. The woman with the tea stopped stirring, her spoon hanging in midair. The waitress, Her hand reached out for a mug, just stopped. Like someone hit pause on the entire scene. I took a step back. The jukebox buzzed, glitched, and restarted a new track. I could still move, but no one else could. And then I heard it. Not music, not a storm. It was a voice. Not coming from anyone I could see. Just a whisper that seemed to echo from the walls themselves. I backed toward the door, my heart hammering in my chest, and I turned the knob. Locked. Of course it was locked. I tried the windows, but they were sealed shut. I started banging on the glass and shouting, but no one was outside, just the wind and the rain and that flickering red sign. SYCAMRE. Stace. Stace, thank you so much. I turned back toward the dining room, and everyone was gone. Not frozen anymore, just gone. The booths were empty. No plates, no crumbs, no mugs. No sign that anyone had ever even been there. Except for my plate. Still warm and still half eaten. And then I saw the waitress. She was standing by the kitchen doors, her silhouette backlit by flickering fluorescent light. Her face was wrong. The same smile, but her eyes were black and endless, like someone had painted over them. "You shouldn't be here, honey," she said in that same cheerful voice. "Not yet." I stumbled back, knocking over a chair as she took one slow step toward me. The others, they were waiting, but you just wandered in. She raised a hand, and the walls began to shimmer. Literally shimmer, like heat waves on asphalt. The checkered floor rippled, and the red booths started to fade, becoming outlines and then shadows and then nothing. And then I saw it, underneath the illusion. It was charred wood, cracked tile, broken beams, and black soot. Like the diner had burned down long ago. I ran. I don't even remember how I got out. One second I was inside, and the next I was on the side of the road, soaked to the bone and gasping for air. My car was still there, pulled up with the ceiling missing, parked on gravel that didn't even look like a lot anymore. Just weeds and puddles. No neon sign, thanks Sherry. No glowing windows, just nothing. I drove back to campus that night in silence. No music. No Porch Lore podcast. I kept glancing in the rear-view mirror, half expecting to see that red neon flicker back to life. I didn't tell anyone. Not for weeks. Not until I finally looked up Sycamore Diner on a local history site, and I found it. It burned to the ground in 1972. A gas leak. The whole place went up at midnight, and everyone inside was killed. 5 patrons, a waitress, and a cook. The photo in the article: the same checkerboard floor, the same red booths, the same neon sign. SYCAMORE. And in the corner of the photo, that same waitress, smiling. I never took that back road again. I don't even drive at night anymore if I can help it. And every time I see a neon diner sign, something in me flinches just a little, because I know I was there, and I know I wasn't supposed to be. But the part that keeps me up sometimes, the part that really makes my stomach turn, that was the best damn grilled cheese I've ever had. And I didn't even pay for it. And that's the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. Also, we do have Best Damn Grilled Cheese merch if you guys want to check it out, as well as all kinds of other fun things. Thank you, Porch Pals, for spending your Tuesday evening with me. You could be anywhere, and you spend it here with me. I love you guys very much. I'm grateful for the community we've built and are continuing to build. And I will see you guys again tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maybe earlier if I get it going earlier. And if you can't make the daytime one, no problem. I will see you guys again, same time, same place tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you can't sleep, please head on over to my YT channel or any of the podcast streaming sites. On my YT channel, there is a playlist tab. If you click on that, there's a playlist called Bedtime Stories, and you can fall asleep to all these. I know, isn't that funny, Maleficent? And also, don't forget, stay spooky.